Kirk Duckwall, realtor and one of the broker owners here at Bricks Real Estate, here with Mastermind the Market, your real estate stats update for the Twin Cities area. Well, are lower rates equaling a slower market? We'll dive into that in just a second, but if you like these videos, make sure you like and subscribe. All right, let's dive into the data and take a look at what's going on here in the market. All right, so if we look at new listings into the marketplace, overall tracking ahead on the 3-month average, up 3.7%, but the last few weeks been running a bit behind, down 5.7 a few weeks ago, 3 weeks back, down 6%. Pending sales, again, tracking ahead at a good clip. Overall, up 6.1% on the 3-month, but again, down last week. So lower listings coming into the market, but also lower pending sales. However, with that being higher overall on average, we've been watching that inventory gap closing just a little bit below 10% going back into July, where we saw that we were ahead in inventory by 9.4%. We're still tracking overall on the 3-month 4.8%. But if we just look at the last few weeks, it's been getting tighter and tighter. Just a couple weeks ago, only up 0.2%. So watching that inventory gap closing, creating a little bit more competition overall for this time of year than where we were a few weeks back. Okay, looking at the showings per week per listing. So we can see, again, things were clipping along a little bit faster. Go back to August timeline. We were seeing that showings per listing up by 18%. That was a pretty big week, but still 4, 1, 9, 2. Yeah, overall ahead. We've had a couple weeks, though, where things were a little bit slower. And then now, basically on par on the showings per week per listing. However, I would expect that we're going to see, as that inventory keeps coming out of the marketplace, if this holds, that showings per week per listing is going to be more competitive, so a little bit higher than where we were last year, starting that trend back to where we were a month or so back. All right, total showings overall, again, virtually tied with last year, 26 for areas used in comparison to last year's 26.25. Now we go back a few weeks on the days on market, and we can see the buyers really jumped in and took advantage of those properties that had been on the market a while. 41 days on market, that was the average, then down to 30, and then down to 28. We've also watched the cancellation rate pick up last week, up to 9%. This is something, though, that isn't super uncommon for the fall, because we see buyers realizing they have more opportunity out there due to that peak inventory level. So jumping back on that here, inventory of homes, yeah, we're kind of up towards those peak inventory numbers. Even though it's tightening, this is the most homes on the market, the most opportunity. So this creates for buyers 45% less competition per listing at this time of year. All right, looking where sale prices are, also sale prices this time of year start to drop back off a little bit. So overall up 2.6% year over year, and trending down again, an advantage to buyers. So we talked about interest rates. Yeah, we've come down a lot in comparison to January, where we got up to almost 7.25%. Interest rate now down, got below 6.25%, up back just a little bit over the last week. Well, the reason it's slowing down isn't because interest rates dropping. It's slowing down because of the time of year. This is a trend that we see every fall market, and September quite often historically ends up being one of the slowest months, if not the slowest month. So we can see last year it was 3.19 on the market meter, so to the advantage of buyers. We look last year, or 2 years ago, it was 4.13. or 4.64 back in 2022, but then in 2021 it was the slowest month again. So looking at what we're seeing right now, it appears like that's probably going to be the case, that September was the slowest month. I would expect things to pick up very similar to last year, where we see that rising up into October, November, as the data comes in. So my recommendations are, if you're looking to purchase out there, this is the opportunity. This is the time of year, that peak inventory. And for sellers, what you need to decide is coming up with that listing strategy, because list price can be a strategy or it can be a mistake. And I like to shoot for that strategy. Come up with that strategy. Are you going to pick a price and hold firm and wait for things to pick up in that early spring market? I mean, look what happens here between December last year, 3.91, so buyer's market territory. By end of January, we're approaching seller's market range and completely into seller's market by February. So you pick that price and hold it and wait it out. Or if you need to get it sold, do you become more competitive in your listing price? So hopefully you found this information valuable. Yeah, if you have any questions, always feel free to reach out. Take care and have a great week.